The Indian deaf and mute girl Geeta who is set to return home on 26th of this month. India Today's Smita Sharma spoke exclusively to Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan TCA Raghavan a short while back about the arrangements for the crossover.
Geeta, or Goody, will be finally home, back to her homeland in India on 26th October. After nearly 15 years since the time that she strayed into Pakistan. Joining us on this broadcast here on India Today is Mr. TCA Raghavan, India's High Commissioner to Pakistan, who's currently in Lahore. Sir, welcome to India Today. You know, you met Geeta along with your wife, Mrs. Ranjana, just early August. And from there to now, within weeks, this process has been expedited. Were you hopeful that it could actually move so soon?
Well, I'm very happy that this process is now nearing its completion. And one stage of Geeta's journey will come to an end when she leaves on the 26th of this month and goes to Delhi. It is quite an extraordinary story. And from the time when I heard about this case and went to Karachi, it is something of a miracle that we have been able to, first of all, confirm that she is an Indian national, and also make some progress in locating her family.
Right.
So yes, I am very happy about it and very hopeful for the future as far as this girl is concerned.
So India Today had first reported that 26th of October is the likely date for Geeta's return. Now that there is the official confirmation, so will you also travel with her? Will there be somebody from the Indian side as well? And who all from the Eidi family will accompany Geeta on her return journey home?
We've invited 4 or 5 members of the Eidi family to accompany Geeta when she goes back to India. Once she is in India, all the arrangements have been made, both for her as also for the accompanying members of the Eidi family. As you would be aware, our External Affairs Minister, Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, at whose intervention right in the very beginning, this case changed from being a consular issue to a larger humanitarian issue. She herself has taken all possible steps to see that this girl is happy when she goes back to India, right, and has a bright future ahead.
But sir, you know, when you met her, of course, following those media reports that came out, India Today took up Geeta's plight as well. What was Geeta's initial reactions like when you and Mrs. Ranjana Raghavan were meeting her? What was it that she was able to communicate to you, and what was the biggest hurdle for you at that point?
What our External Affairs Minister had asked me to determine was to satisfy myself, given the evidence which existed, whether this girl could possibly be an Indian national. As you know, she cannot speak and she communicates through signs, but she also writes clearly in the Devanagari script. And after spending some time with her, I had no doubt that this girl is originally from India. Subsequently, I realized that there was a background, and in fact, earlier teams by consular officials had also tried to determine whether this girl was an Indian national, and had made some progress too.
Right. Okay. You know, sir, but as you're saying yourself, is Geeta's case also a case in point where perhaps there was a higher level political push? You intervened so actively because this case had been taken up by Ansar Barni, who had travelled to India, the international human rights activist, in the past 2-3 years back too, and Geeta's file had been moving in the High Commission there, through the High Commission there, but at a much slower pace. So for the many Geetas, for the many children lost perhaps both in India and in Pakistan, will all individual cases, can we hope that it will be expedited perhaps in the days to come?
We do try to expedite all cases. This case presented peculiar difficulties because the girl herself is unable to communicate clearly all the facts which she may otherwise have at her disposal. But I do take your point that in dealing with consular issues, often there are difficulties of procedure which can be frustrating for the people themselves who are facing that particular situation. I believe the great strength of our system, and I refer here essentially to the Indian democratic system, is that public intervention, political intervention, does transform, as I said, what was a consular issue into a humanitarian one.
Okay. So, you know, the three sets of photographs that were sent across to Geeta, of course, through the Ministry of External Affairs and the High Commission. And one of them, of course, Geeta has zeroed in as a probable parents. India Today tracked down that family as well, based in Bihar and Ludhiana. And they seem to suggest that, yes, Geeta is their daughter. But have you met Geeta since then? Because, God forbid, if the DNA tests don't match, then perhaps she will have to stay through another special home in India.
You see, there are two steps to this entire process. The first is that she is an Indian national, and that is now established without doubt. The second is the more difficult and challenging part of establishing who her family members are and where they are now. I believe the fact that she has recognized some people in a photograph is a step forward, but certainly other tests will need to be done. It has been some period of time since she has met these family members, or whether since these family members have seen her. So certainly we have to rely on the DNA tests before we can conclusively decide. But on her living in India and her being cared for in India, I would have no great difficulty in assuming that she will be very well looked after. She has to be equipped to lead a new life, because it is quite an extraordinary story for a young girl or a young woman to have gone through. And if one looks at the different ingredients of that story up to the stage when Mrs. Sushma Swaraj took such a keen interest and personal interest in the matter, it is quite an extraordinary tale.
Right. So, you know, now that Geeta is all set for her homecoming, what do you have to say about the ED Foundation that was her second home in Pakistan for all these years? Clearly, you know, the home will also be missing their own daughter.
Well, as you would be aware, the ED Foundation has a very great reputation, not just in Pakistan, but all over the world, for the humanitarian impulses they act out of. I believe they do things which are not just commendable, but which restore people's faith in simple virtues such as goodness. They have looked after Geeta and provided her a certain home away from home, which is a wonderful story in itself. As you know, our External Affairs Minister, one of the first things she had done was to thank this family profusely, and we are very happy that members of this family will be accompanying her to India and spending a few days there.